guys, what is up? My name is Karen, aka cakedbybabyk, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a sort of interesting video. I recently did a review slash tutorial series on the Jaclyn Hill x Morphe Vault Collection, and I did a video for each of the different palettes. While I was filming my, I think it was the Armed and Gorgeous review and tutorial, I noticed that one of the shades in the palette just sucked, to be quite honest, and I dug my finger in there for the longest time and it just would not, like nothing, like almost nothing came from that shadow, and I was just like, that's really weird. So then I had this idea to compare that shade in my palette to the one in my roommate's Vault collection, because she bought hers in store, I bought mine online. And so I went to her room to go grab it, and just by looking at the two side by side, I was just like, you can literally tell just by looking at it that hers was a lot better than mine. It just looked way more buttery and smooth than mine. Mine was pressed a little bit too hard in my opinion. And after that, I was like, I really wonder if there are any other inconsistencies with my vault compared to hers. So that's what we're doing today. I have not touched any of the other palettes or shades other than that one shade that I had in my video for the Armed and Gorgeous palette. If any of you guys are interested in knowing what it was, I will link that video down below, as well as my other Vault collection tutorials and reviews if you guys are interested in that. But before I get into swatching them, I want to talk about Jaclyn and her take and her perspective on this. Before I start this video with the swatches and my take on everything, I want to say this is a disclaimer full on. I am not bashing Jaclyn Hill or Morphe. I think Jaclyn is an amazing influencer and she works hard for what she has, and Morphe is an amazing brand that has climbed its way up to the top within the past couple of years, and I honestly respect the hell out of both of them, and I think they're great. Do they put out the best product out there? In my honest opinion, no, but for the price, it's pretty darn good. So I just want to put that out there. I am not making this video to bash both of them, but just to state my honest opinions and the facts. So I'm sure most of you guys know the story of how the launch date of the Vault was pushed back a couple of weeks to like a month. Sorry, I'm like scratching my neck, so that's why it's red, if you guys are wondering. So apparently after that first batch got sent out in PR, Jaclyn and the Morphe team noticed there were inconsistencies with the palettes and it wasn't up to their expectation of what it was supposed to be, so they scratched that batch. And in Jaclyn's video, she explained that they didn't trash them, they're locked away somewhere, they're quarantined in a facility and they're being tested and swatched and whatnot, and they actually did a whole new batch before they launched it. I know a lot of people are wondering if they did sell that first quarantined batch, just because a lot of people are receiving palettes with a lot of discrepancies and inconsistencies. Will we ever know if that's the case? No, we can only speculate and listen to the rumors. I personally don't know if they sold that first batch. Seeing as so many people have complaints about the Vault, my mind only goes there when thinking about how this could have happened, especially knowing Jaclyn and how nitpicky she is about her product. Seeing how many palettes that were sold with all these crappy shades is a little bit sketchy, to be honest, but we will never know if they actually sold that first batch or not. And I know there's a whole lot of talk about the V2, version 2, Vault 2 type of things, and I honestly don't think they would be stupid enough to put that on the packaging. So I don't think that that has anything to do with the batch codes or the production codes or whatnot. I think people are just trying to stir the pot and create some drama behind that. So after they were repressed, they were launched to the public, and a lot of people have been complaining about the Vault not being as good as they imagined or as good as the original Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I have to say that so many batches and with so many units, there are bound to be inconsistencies with product, and I feel like that happens a lot, but the reason that people are targeting this particular launch is because of Jaclyn, how controversial she is in the beauty community. I have played with my Vault, and you guys can see in my videos that I genuinely think they're awesome. Like, they're pretty good for the price, especially. Like, if it's gonna be like 1 or 2 shades that are a little bit off, like, that's fine. Like, that's 1 or 2 shades out of 40 shadows. I guess what I'm trying to say after this long rant is that we will never know if they actually sold that first batch that they quarantined. And I think a lot of people are angry because Jaclyn has worked on this for so long and she's hyped it up for so long, and a lot of people are being let down. There is the issue of returning the vault. In my opinion, I don't really think it makes sense to return it, especially when you order online like I did. I paid around $55, $60 for the vault, including shipping, and to return it you have to pay $15. So they say that you get a full refund, but then you're actually losing money when you pay the $15 shipping, and I think that's why a lot of people aren't returning it even though they're unhappy with it, which I know Jaclyn addressed in her video that says let's talk about it. And I don't think she realizes that a lot of people just don't want to return something when they have to pay $15 to return it. I don't know if they have a policy on if you buy online you can return in store, which I think should be implemented. I personally got mine online. My roommate got hers in store, so I don't know if that makes a difference. Her classified shade in the Armed and Gorgeous was a lot better than mine, and I'm gonna go through all the swatches. I'm gonna swatch with my fingers and then I'm gonna swatch with brushes on my arm so you guys can see. I'm gonna be in natural light. I have natural light window right here, so we're just gonna go ahead and go into the swatches right now. Okay, so this is the Bling Boss palette, and I'm always gonna put the top row as my Vault collection and the bottom row is going to be my roommate, so just so you guys are aware of that. I didn't really find any shades that were hard or hard to swatch from this palette at all. I did find when I was filming all my Vault reviews is that even though they swatch patchy sometimes, they blend really nicely on the eye, especially in my Dark Magic video. That one swatched so patchy, but my eye look turned out amazing. So you guys know sometimes swatches aren't really reflective of how a shadow performs. I really think that's the case with the Vault collection. These swatched really nicely, and when I used it, I was a really big fan of it, except for this color and maybe this one. I just feel like they don't really match the color story, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm gonna swatch my roommate's Vault collection under here right now. Okay, so here are both of them side by side. I do notice that Berry Treasure, it does look a little bit better in my roommate's Vault collection. You can see the glitter a lot more, and I will show you the palette side by side as well. I also think that this shade Rockstar swatched a lot better than mine. It feels like a little bit more pigmented, but other than that I feel like they're pretty much the same. I'm gonna show you guys the palette side by side now. Okay, and here are the brush swatches for the palette. Don't mind this one being a little bit darker. I had a dark shadow in that brush, so don't mind that. But I don't really see a difference with the brush swatches at all. Maybe except for Berry Treasure, it seems a little bit darker with the brush when I apply it. But just so you guys have a reference point with a brush swatch. Okay, so now we're gonna go into Dark Magic swatches. These are actually swatching a lot better than in my review and tutorial of the palette, which is weird, which makes me think that you have to scrape off the top layer for it to work, which I know a lot of people have been saying and Jaclyn addressed in her video. I actually just got an email from Morphe just saying I should review it. That's what I'm doing now, Morphe. My video will be up soon. Okay, so these are the swatches from my personal Vault collection. If you guys watched my video with my first impressions, you would see that the swatches did not look like this at all. So it really makes me wonder if what Jaclyn was addressing in her video is true, that you have to scrape off the top layer of the shadows to make it work a little bit better. I don't know if she said that personally or if she was reiterating what people have told her, but either way, if you guys watch my video with the Dark Magic palette, the swatches did not look like this at all. I was especially dumbfounded when I swatched the shade Potion. It looked horrible in that first swipe, and when I was trying to use it on my eye, it was just like a hot mess. So that was one of the other shades I had a problem with, was Potion. Now I'm gonna swatch my roommate's Dark Magic palette. They do feel very similar, I'll have to say that. Okay, the only really inconsistency that I see is this shade, which is looks a little bit darker in my roommate's palette than in mine. And also Poof looks a little bit more pigmented, if that makes sense. But other than that, they look very, very similar, which is good. Okay, so these are the brush swatches. As you can tell, this one does look a lot darker than right here, but that's really the only inconsistency, other than maybe this one's a little bit better, but other than that, I can't really tell like that much of a huge difference except for this one. So these are the Dark Magic palettes side by side. The top one is mine, and the bottom one is my roommate's. They all look pretty similar for the most part in Dark Magic, which is good. Okay, the next one is the Ring the Alarm palette, and I don't know when I'm gonna post this and what order I'm gonna post this in, but if the Ring the Alarm video is already up, then you guys can refer back to that one. Okay, so these are the swatches for the Ring the Alarm palette, and I talked about in my video dedicated to this palette that the shade Classified was drastically different in my palette. Look at that swatch right there. And then in my roommate's palette. Look at that much more beautiful and buttery smooth swatch. Also, I just noticed this now, but my Top Secret shade is a lot softer than hers. And I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. But you can see that there's a lot of product on my swatch and not that much on hers. You know when you get too much shadow on your finger and then you swatch it, it gets a little bit thick? Like if I push it up, you can see that shadow up there. I thought that was super interesting. Maybe they pressed the one in mine a little bit softer and hers a little bit harder. I'm not exactly sure. That's another inconsistency I found with this palette. Hopefully all the inconsistencies are in this one and not any of the others. The first two that I didn't really find anything that's that much different, and I think the problems just all come from this palette, hopefully. But yeah, this one is just ridiculous. Like, look at that. Okay, so here are the brush swatches. And again, you can't really tell any differences except for this last Classified shade. It performed a lot better with the brush as well. Oh my gosh, I've swatched so much and I'm getting a headache. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you the Armed and Gorgeous palettes side by side. So the top one is my palette and the bottom one is my roommate's. So the Classified shade is this one right here. You can totally tell the difference between mine and then my roommate's down here. Just especially when I lift it up a little bit and you can see like the texture in the one down here. Mine just seems like it was pressed super hard and barely anything comes off when I swatch it. Like, that's me swatching mine. I'm gonna dig a little bit harder. There we go. And then here is me swatching my roommate's. Same pressure. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, this is the biggest difference that I found between the 3 palettes. I've done 3 palettes now, but I think this probably will be the biggest like inconsistency. Okay, now we're going to move on to the last palette palette in the Vault collection, and that is one of my personal favorites, and it is the Ring the Alarm palette. So I'm gonna swatch mine right now. So there is the swatches for my palette. And then there are the swatches for my roommates. And they do look pretty similar, so that's good. They did feel very, very similar as well, so. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the palettes side by side again. Once again, the top one is mine, the bottom one is my roommate's. I do have to say they do look very similar as well, which is a very good thing. Because when I first discovered the inconsistency in my Armed and Dangerous palette, I was like, holy crap, like, are there going to be more if I compare all 4 palettes? But I think it's just that classified shade and that green potion shade, I think, that I really had problems with, and I want to address that swatches can be patchy and it's not a really good indicator of how a shadow performs anymore. I know it used to be back in the day, but now it's just a completely different story. If you guys watch my other videos, sorry, I'm like trying to take off all these swatches before it gets on my clothes. If you guys watch all my original Vault collection tutorials and reviews, you guys can see that the swatches that I first applied on my skin from like the very first time I touched the shadows, they looked so patchy, and now swatching them on my arms again after using the palettes a couple of times, especially with Dark Magic, I realized that it might be that issue of just you need to get past the top layer before you can get to a really good shadow on the bottom, which honestly, like, that shouldn't be the case, but I don't really mind it, to be honest. I know there is an issue with fallout as well. There is a good amount of fallout, but not nearly as much as, say, like Modern Renaissance or Subculture. I can handle fallout. I always do my eyes first. If you guys have been watching me for a long time, you know that. I do my eyes first before my face, and if I already have my face on, I will just apply some translucent powder underneath my eyes to catch any of the fallout. It's honestly not really a big deal for me, at least, and I know it is for some people. I think maybe my Armed and Gorgeous palette was just part of a production mistake, maybe. I'm thinking about reaching out to Morphe and seeing if I can get an exchange, but honestly, I don't really think it's worth my time just to go through all that hassle to get a replacement for one palette, and especially one shade in that palette. Like, I will honestly probably end up using my roommate's shade in that palette instead of just like going through the hassle of trying to exchange one. If they send it to me, or if I go to the store and talk to them about it, hopefully I can get that resolved if I wanted to. I know there is an issue of returning things, especially with Morphe and buying it online. I really think if they have not already, they should implement if you buy online, you can exchange in store type of thing. I really haven't looked into it. They just opened a brand new Morphe store near me in San Diego. I was actually the first one in line. So yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked that much into it, but if they have not implemented that, I really think that they should. And yeah. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really like comparing things, and I was really glad to get to the bottom of this. I was scared that I got a totally horrible Vault collection compared to another one. I'm thinking about going in stores and swatching the ones they have there and seeing if their Armed and Gorgeous palette is similar to mine or my roommate's. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if I should do that. Let me know if you guys like these types of videos, if I should do more comparisons, and I think that's it. And once again, I just want to reiterate, this video was in no way meant to bash Jaclyn Hill or Morphe. Like I said, I'm very big fans of both of them. I do realize that Jaclyn Hill is a little bit controversial, and so is Morphe, just because they associate themselves with a lot of the more controversial influencers and YouTubers. But in all honesty, like, I really genuinely love their products, and I love what Jaclyn comes up with, and I'm a really big fan of these shades and the hard work that she has put into this vault. And I know sometimes there are inconsistencies in production and that's not entirely the influencer's fault. And am I a little bummed that my Armed and Gorgeous palette was a little bit subpar? Yeah, of course I'm disappointed, but I don't really think it's worth the hassle to reach out on social media and just bash on everybody. Like, I will live with it, and honestly, I really think that everybody else should too if it's not like a major problem. Like mine, like 1 or 2 shades is not a deal breaker for me. I still love the Vault collection. I will continue to use it. So I really think that some people are just making more drama than they should be, and that's my thoughts on that. So yeah, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, and all that good, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!